Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Hello, friends. Welcome once again to another episode of Mavs Moneyball After Dark. This is Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe getting together again to talk about another just historic Mavericks loss. They fell to the Chicago Bulls 144 to 115, and over the course of the game, they gave up 82 points in the first half, which is the most they've ever given up ever in history. Congratulations to the Dallas Mavericks for another wonderful achievement and a season full of them. Luka Doncic didn't play tonight. Josh Green didn't play tonight. Maxi Kleber didn't play tonight. So we kind of got to see what the back half of the roster looks like. And guys, you're not going to believe this, but it looks like shit. Josh, how are you?
I'm okay. This was tied for the second most points they've allowed in a regulation game in franchise history. They've done they've given up 144 in regulation 2 other times, 147 in 2021 against the Warriors, and then the most was 153 in that overtime loss to the Rockets in the bubble, if you remember that game. I think that was the first bubble game for the Mavericks, so we all got our summers off to a great start. You said Luka, Josh, and Maxey didn't play. I would like to argue that Dorian Finney-Smith also didn't play tonight as well. I'm going to be honest. I watched the game from start to finish, and there were legitimately points in the game where I was like, oh, did they sit Dorian and I just missed it? And no, he played, but he played 20 minutes and he scored 0 points, collected no rebounds, had 1 assist and 2 turnovers.
He's having quietly, if Reggie Bullock wasn't having such a bad year, I think we'd be talking about Dorian more. He's obviously important to what they do, but he has not played very well or up to, I think, what he would consider his own level of good this season.
Yeah, he's averaging the lowest amount of points per game since 2019. He's shooting under 35% from 3, under 34% from 3. Lowest rebounding since 2019, which is kind of quietly a big deal for him because
it is. That's one of the things he values.
Right. So, it's maybe not fair to poke at him at a game. You know, he is one of the players that his offense is Luka. He's a catch and shoot guy through and through. So maybe I'm being a little mean to poke at him in a game like this, but I don't know. It was just kind of emblematic of, what this type of game was. It was a schedule loss. I actually think before we get into talking about more negatives, because there's not really much positive to say about a game like this, I actually applaud the Mavericks for having the foresight to just not play Luka in this game, because imagine if this game had a similar result, but Luka played 40 minutes, how mad we would be. So I appreciate them just getting that out of the way and giving him a night.
See, but did they do that? He stormed off the floor last night. I've never seen him do that before. He stormed off the court not a tantrum. One of my friends Daman Rangula, Lakers fan, basically was like, that was a Luka tantrum. No, I've seen Luka tantrums. I have experience in tantrums in my life. But he walked off the floor because Jason Kidd called, the get Luka the ball play, which didn't work. Who knew? And so I wonder if that decision might have they might have reached that independently, but that
maybe give him a cool off night.
I think so. I didn't even see him on the bench, but I also wasn't looking.
I wonder if he did even make the trip.
Maybe not. I mean,
the
injuries they made up for those three were amazing. Like if Josh Green has an elbow sprain, if it's his shooting elbow, we have real problems.
Yeah,
Josh Green is like the only reasonably consistent player the Mavericks have off the bench these days.
Yeah, it was good to get Maxey a break too, because I mean, he's been playing well, and he's one of the guys where when his minutes load, when you can feel it with him, like it's very drastic. So. I mean, I applaud the Mavericks for just getting out ahead of it, not trying to fool anyone with what the result for this game was going to be. Like, we all knew it. I mean, they didn't get to Chuck Cooperstein, radio man for the Mavs, said they didn't get into their hotels till 3:45 Chicago time. So, I mean, they weren't going to win. And this was exactly, they were likely going to get blown out. That's what happened. So, I don't know what else to say other than, we could start looking at, there were some somewhat new guys getting a lot of minutes. Kemba Walker made his debut. Jaden Hardy got some minutes. So probably talk about that. I do want to mention, can we talk? And this is really stupid, but can we talk about JaVale McGee for a second?
Of course, because he was the marquee signing of the offseason.
It's freaking hilarious that by far his best statistical contribution of the season came in a game where the Mavericks lost 144 to 115.
Well, those two things are related. He's an empty stats all-star.
That's in this game tonight. Like that's JaVale McGee's career in a nutshell. Was this game?
I know. I lived in Washington D.C. Was there the whole time he was there. Anybody when people say that they watch the NBA, sometimes I'm not gonna sit here and tell people that I watch NBA all the time. I don't have time. I'm 38. I have a real job and a life. So the only people who really watch NBA every single night are either single, young, or it's their job. So when people are telling me how good JaVale McGee is, I don't believe them, because why the fuck would you watch JaVale McGee at any point in the last 10 years? He is just he's a physical specimen. He looks like he should be good at basketball. And because he looks the part, he's been able to parlay this into a long career. But this was the second biggest contract he's ever signed. That says something to me. Okay? He's bad.
He was the direct
signing of the offseason. And I just got to get this out there. Isaac, my guy, Locked On Mavs, I love you to pieces. You're a wonderful man. I heard you once on one of the Mavs pregame shows with Bobby saying that JaVale McGee was going to be one of the best signings of the offseason by the middle of the year, and that people were going to look back and think that. Unfortunately, he's the worst signing of the offseason, and it's not close. It's really not close. I've gone through and talked about this. But the Nuggets signed DeAndre Jordan for a year. You can do anything for a year. This guy's going to be on this guy's going to be on the contract or on the Mavericks until Luka asks out. What the fuck are we doing? This is terrible.
We're not even through his first year of.
He didn't make it 8 games. The worst signing. This might be like Tariq Abdul-Wahad type bad signing. What is happening?
Yeah, and what's funny is the Mavericks actually kind of got blitzed off the start, and then they kind of made it respectable through the end of the first quarter, and then McGee played a sizable portion of the second quarter, and I swear, he was a minus 15 in 5 minutes. And I know that plus minus in a single game isn't indicative of everything, but I mean, I think he checked into the game and the Mavericks were down 7. And when he checked out, they were down 24. It was just he's giving up dunk. Drummond had 2 straight dunks, gave Banan 1 dunk. It was just, and then of course, in garbage time, he's making a 3-pointer and he's dunking off the dribble, piling up numbers when everyone's just trying to get out of that game without getting hurt. So it was just that was JaVale McGee's entire career played out in front of us in one game, and that
shooting threes in the fourth quarter, eating up minutes as during the blowout.
Yep.
They're just and what here's, you want to know why I really actually hate these because a lot of his minutes were matched with Jaden Hardy.
Yeah, that
And
sucked.
everybody in the world is really happy about Jaden Hardy, who posted a 5 for 13 line, 15 points, so not very efficient, 5 free throws, 0 for 4 from 3, and then 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover. He was negative 19. So his negative plus minus is tied with JaVale. Like, it's tied to JaVale's because plus minus happens when you're on the floor.
Yeah.
And we're going to see all sorts of really excited talk about Jaden Hardy. I don't really have any commentary other than the fact of I can't watch his minutes with JaVale McGee because like basketball is not played in a one-on-one situation unless you're like Luka Doncic or like Jason Tatum. Like it's just like one-on-one scoring and scoring while also losing every minute you're out there by more. Like they lost more than a point per minute when he was on the floor. No, I'm sorry, just under a point per minute than when he was on the floor because 23 minutes, negative 19.
Yeah, it was just good to see him. I mean, he got 20 plus minutes. Like that's
he does look like an NBA player. That I'm happy about. His burst looks better than I thought it did in summer league, and
finishing at the rim is better.
Yes, yeah, because he it cannot be understated how poor he was at absorbing contact last year. He was a mess, and so he's built up a lot of strength. I like his wingspan, but I'm just I want people to be happy about something, but it's going to take me a while to be excited about a 6'3" shooting guard. And yeah, he's 6'3" guys on a tall day. Sorry.
Yeah.
Unless I've grown taller. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's, for a team that has historically not cared about the draft or young talent.
Sure.
I mean, I get it. Point. Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, he is, they traded up to get him. I mean, it was considered a pretty shrewd move considering where a lot of smart draft people had him ranked. So like I can't really fault, what the Mavericks did to get him.
38 extreme value pick.
Yeah. And I guess, for me, it's just like, I'm just happy, if he gets minutes, I'm happy. I love,
well,
the G League minutes are great. Minutes. Like that's fine. Yeah.
That he needs minutes speaks to the problems with this team.
Yeah. I don't like anyone putting on the expectations that like he could be a savior or help turn the team around. Like
you're right. Rookies don't impact winning. The end. Luka and Dirk have like broken people's brains on reasonable expectations with stuff.
Yeah. I'm just happy. Like, I mean, he was a mess in the G League last season. So
he's also not very good at summer league.
Yeah. So I'm just thrilled what he's doing right now. Like, I'll take it, man. As long as he just keeps getting floor time, even if it's the G League, like that's helpful for him, especially like he had Mark Followell kind of made a good point during the broadcast. I think his senior season got cut off because of COVID. And then, he played in the G League Ignite instead of going to college, and he didn't play like the G League Ignite. Like he only played like 20, maybe 15 or 20 games. So like he didn't even play as many games as he would have played if he went to college. So kind of like Josh Green in a way, how Josh Green kind of got boned with COVID limiting his ability to just play games. I'm with like Hardy just needs, I don't care if it's the G League, just as long as he keeps getting minutes and reps, like that's going to be huge for him right now.
The NBA largely, if you're over 82 games, a lot of what you do as an organization comes down to logistics. Okay. They know every game that the G League is playing. They know every game that the Mavericks are playing. Someone needs to be spending a significant amount of time charting various paths for how to maximize Jaden Hardy's floor time. One of our Twitter friends, Reese, I was watching a discussion between him, you, a whole bunch of people yesterday. And one of the things he said that I don't think the G League is very good for forming good habits. And I'm just going to say like point blank, no, like I'm sorry. Like playing basketball is better than not playing basketball. Like it just is. Like Josh Green needed minutes. Dwight Powell needed minutes. Like you have to have minutes. And what the Mavericks have right now out in Frisco with the G League team is some sense of structure. I've been to games there. This is not the clown show that it was when Satnam Singh existed. Like they are treating I'm sorry, Donnie Nelson treated that thing like a cash cow that he needed to shake down. Now they also treat it like to a certain degree where it's a bit of a carnival atmosphere, but the basketball doesn't feel bullshit. They're not paying some 7'9" English guy to show up and sit on the bench and be a carnival barker. this is a basketball team that they have down there. It's nice. So if they can figure out how to get Hardy, if he plays 2 out of every 3 games down there and then spends some time on the Mavericks bench with the practicing and maybe gets 8 to 12 minutes in a game here and there, that's the
Perfect.
best outcome for me.
For sure. I'm totally with that.
I figured because, look, if you want him to get significant minutes, that means the Mavericks are getting their asses beat.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
He's not getting real minutes. He's not playing with Luka. What are we doing? We can't even get Josh Green to play with Luka.
The backup quarterback's always more popular. That's just kind of how it is. He's the unknown, and the Mavericks are I get it, all of it, but it's just,
yeah.
It's just, man, second round picks playing a lot. You don't see them playing major rotation minutes for playoff teams. It just doesn't happen. And I'm just happy with whatever reps he can get.
I mean, that kind of look, 2 straight really shitty losses in a season filled with unbelievably frustrating losses. I'm inching closer to the point of asking the question of what is this season? Should the Mavericks punt on this season? I still think because Luka Doncic exists, the answer is no. But I'm just, I want people to reconcile those 2 things when we're talking about this, because Hardy is not going to get significant minutes in the first 40 games of the season. Period. He might get some in the second half if he can prove himself in short spurts. Kid's not that guy. Otherwise, you're basically saying you want Kid to move on, because Kid's not going to do this. Sorry, it's just not happening.
And that's not even a Kid thing. That's just NBA coaches in general too.
And it's also a Kid thing, because that man is stubborn as a mule, and I just don't see him pulling. No. I'm going to go play the rookie.
Yeah.
This is advertiser content brought to you by Frito-Lay.
Hello, I'm Chip Murphy, here to get you ready for the big tournament. Tonight we'll break down who will be cutting. Cut! What are you 2 doing?
Sorry, Chip. Prez here got his feathers ruffled when I told him Ruffles has 0 chance of winning the title.
And I was letting Dip know that she is not taking into account Ruffles' iconic ridges.
Guys, it's March. We have to start talking about the tournament.
We are. It is the 2023 Frito-Lay Snack It.
We're talking about big-time matchups between Cheetos, Smart Food, Lay's, Sun Chips, and more.
Just head to the Frito-Lay Snack Bracket and vote for your favorite chip, pretzel, or dip for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks.
This sounds great. Keep up the good work.
Just go to fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends 4/3/2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnackit.sbnation.com.
So just be happy. I mean, a year ago we were wondering, can he even? I mean, he shot 20% from 3 in the G League his first season. I'm just,
it's pretty rough. Yeah.
I'm just thrilled that what he's doing.
Yeah.
I guess
the shot looks good.
Yeah. I'm just kind of content and satisfied with whatever he gets, and asking for any more, I'm just whatever. Man, feels like otherwise. I mean, do you want to just get the Houston Rockets podcast and play that for the rest of the time they're here? Because it's literally.
Well, I mean, Kemba Walker played.
Thing. Oh yeah, he looked okay.
I mean, I feel it's a 1-game sample, but I feel very vindicated through 1 game about all my Goran Dragic to Kemba Walker takes. I feel like parading around like an asshole about that, but who cares?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Lose by 29. Goran played 16 minutes and had 14 and 4. Kemba played 20 minutes and had 8 and 5, where it's just at that point you're splitting hairs, where it's how about you get the guy that wants to play for your team and can play the whole year? How about?
Whatever. Yeah, I mean, even Mavs color commentator Derek Harper kind of started to agree. He was kind of made a comment toward the end of the game where he was like, "Wow, Dragic still has some game left in him. I really like him." And I'm just kind of thinking, yeah, he's not bad, right? He's pretty good.
I mean, he's not the greatest ability is availability, and I hope Kemba's knee feels great. I hope Kemba can play 40 games for Dallas heading out. I hope they can get some spot minutes for him and he can play. I just don't know if he can. He played great with the Knicks last year, and then he fell off a cliff,
right?
And then he had to go deal with knee issues.
Yeah, the question with Kemba, like this game doesn't really matter. It's I don't care about this game. It's going to be like, what's it going to look like in March? Like that's the question with him. You just don't
Yeah.
know how long he's going to last. So I mean, I guess you just see the one thing with him though is you can kind of see, I mean, even though he obviously isn't the Kemba of old, but you can just tell if he was on the floor for maybe a couple of these like really bad 1, 2, 3 point losses that they've had, maybe he swings a game or two in their direction with these really bad clutch losses that they've accumulated over the last month and a half. So I could kind of see, maybe before his knees fall apart in March, maybe he can give you, 12 to 15 competent minutes in a third quarter, where he plays a 5-minute stretch in the third quarter where you don't cough up the lead when Luka's on the bench, just by doing just semi-competent guard level things so that an NBA guard should be able to do. Like I could kind of see that. Like he had, I mean, this game's stupid, but he had no turnovers, 5 assists, just making the right play, hitting a spot up jumper, that kind of stuff. And you're just like, okay, like if he can swing, I mean, hell, like you think about that Milwaukee game, like if he was able to play like 10 minutes in that Milwaukee game and score a couple of points compared to like what they
run an
off.
offense, like you and I didn't get to talk about this. Spencer cannot pass. Spencer cannot throw a decent pass. He threw 2 or 3 like missed passes to Wood. It was driving me nuts last night. Like Kemba can do that stuff because he is a point guard.
Yeah, so maybe that he swings a couple of games, and then even if he does, if his knee explodes in March, it's like, okay, well, we kind of got what we needed out of him, at least for the regular season. So
yeah,
I guess that's probably the goal. Yeah, just other than Kemba and Hardy, there really just wasn't much to talk about because everything looked the same. Like Wood got his 21 points, it looked pretty good, but defensively the team was a train wreck. Him and Powell starting was pretty funny because it's like your 2 worst rim defenders on the floor at the same time, and Chicago just ate them up. Dinwiddie played a really good offensive game. He was nowhere on defense. Like, think about that starting lineup: Dinwiddie, Powell, Hardaway, Wood, Finney-Smith. Like 4 of the 5 starters are minus defenders for the most part, and that's why you give up 144 points. So,
I think a lot of people are. The more we inch along with this, the more I think eyes are opened as to just like the not like the limited means through which Dallas has to win a game. Not that they're bad; it's that the path to victory is tight. And I saw a couple of people it's like I'm starting to see more trade stuff. It's like, well, who is trading with Dallas for anything? And it's not. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it like Tim Hardaway has. Woo. I don't. This is just going to be a really tough month. I mean, I'm looking ahead at the schedule. You play Oklahoma City, Cleveland, Portland, Cleveland, Minnesota, Houston, and then on Christmas Day, the Lakers. I don't see a single guaranteed win in that group.
I mean, did you see a single guaranteed win in the Phoenix, Denver, Milwaukee trio? And they got 2 of them. So,
no, that's a good point.
This team's weird. Like I feel like I'm past the point of looking at the schedule and being like, that's a win, that's a loss.
Well, it's all based on the shooting. Like they shoot like 45% from threes and victories or something. And it's nuts.
And how can you honestly predict whether that's
yeah.
Because the defense is just. I mean, we obviously saw like Josh Green and Maxi Kleber. I mean, I guess they're holding this thing by their shoestrings, this defense together without being like one of the worst defenses in the league. Like that's pretty important. So I mean, if they get back, I don't know. It's just this loss was bad, but this was the expected one, and it makes the loss against Milwaukee feel even worse because it's like if you steal that one, no one really cares if you get thumped without Luka on the floor. If you beat Phoenix, Denver, and Milwaukee back to back, like you get a little leeway.
Right.
But even then, I mean, a week and a half ago, we probably were looking at this part of the schedule and we were like, wow, they're going to be like 3 games under 500 after they play Milwaukee and they're at 500. So I don't know anymore, man. I mean, they could beat Oklahoma City on Monday by 30 points, or they could lose by 15. Like they could beat I I don't have a grasp on this team because, like you said, a lot of it feels like, can Tim Hardaway Jr. make 50% of his threes? And he's just such a streaky guy.
Right.
Who knows? I mean, the only thing, just Finney Smith and Bullock, like that's probably the biggest worry points right now. Like in terms of like, can this team consistently string it together? Because Finney Smith looked really good in that Denver win, and when he's good, the team just has a different, like, it feels like they're a different team. Like he's a big part of why they look good when they win big or when they play well. And he's basically had one good game in the month of December. I'm looking at his December box score, so they really like that's probably going to be something to look at to close out the year. Is can Finney Smith, can Bullock, can they show some, can they string together like 2 games together playing well?
That's right.
And then maybe something can happen. But hell, man, I mean they beat Phoenix and he scored 3 points in 23 minutes, and they beat Phoenix by 20 points. So I don't know. I'm starting to get to a point where I don't even know what we even say anymore because it's like impossible to read this team. Like it's just, they disappoint you when you expect great things, and they surprise you when you think they're going to lose. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, I'm glad you didn't have to witness that game last night, like live. It was.
I can only imagine.
It was like surgery without anesthesia because Tim Hardaway has now missed 5 straight fourth corner free throws, and honestly, the loose ball foul that sent Dorian Finney-Smith to the line where he missed his 2, I don't think it was a foul. And then there's the defensive play where I had people arguing with me about this. Like, I'm not kicking Luka. I'm asking why the fuck he's standing with his back to the ball. Yeah, and then they get hung up in a group like a group hug at the free throw line, and the hugest person on the floor gets sprung free for a backdoor dunk.
That was bad.
That's terrible defense. Now, the players are responsible, but what are the coaches doing lining him up like that? And then there's the play, and I'm just going to rehash this. I don't care. It's our podcast. Then there's the play, and for those of you who haven't seen it, there's this video by a Twitter account, Half Court Hoops, that basically breaks down how Luka is like quiet panicking, trying to say, like, from when they walk out of the timeout, basically trying to draw attention to the fact that the Bucks know what the play is. The only people on the court who know what the Dallas Mavericks play is are everyone. And so Luka gets shit for another bad 40-footer when it's like, how is that the play you draw up? Again, do something different.
Yeah, no. But my counter would be, I mean, it wasn't different when Rick was here. I mean, it was the same. How many?
It's the time.
Yeah.
So Ben Zadell and I were talking about this today, where Brook Lopez makes a dunk. You call the timeout immediately. You have 7 seconds left. The argument against calling the timeout was you have 7 seconds left, so push it up the floor and see if you catch the Bucks off guard. The Bucks are really fucking good. You're not catching the Bucks off guard.
Yeah, we have a lot of smart players. Giannis, Middleton, Drew.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis wasn't in the game because he fouled out with 3 full minutes left, Josh.
That's
and
right.
The Mavericks couldn't take advantage of it. That's how bad it was.
That game was crazy. I think that game was. I mean, that game was
emblematic. Over the edge.
I know that game was emblematic of the whole season. Like,
yeah,
that's
the
start
last
the fourth
year.
Yeah. To start the fourth quarter, it looked like the best win of the season, and then it ended up being one of the most excruciating losses. Like, that's the 2022-2023 Dallas Mavericks.
Well, I mean, I hope they get it together. I hope we can look back on these and laugh, but it's just like writing and talking about this team has become a chore.
Yeah,
really
I think I feel like the only thing we can say, because I say it's hard to predict anything. I mean, it's clear, like, all the talk in the preseason about like, hey, we don't want to do what we did the last 2 seasons and get off to a slow start. Well, like, that's over. Like they have slow started. They're 13-13 nearing the middle of December. Like they're gonna have to dig their way out of another hole again. So any illusions that anyone might have had about like a top 3 seed or anything like that, probably have to put those pipe dreams away. But I mean, they'll still probably go on a winning streak here in a little bit. I mean, they did the Phoenix and Denver wins. Those were two pretty impressive wins back to back. So I'm not, and then basically for 80% of the Milwaukee game, they looked great. So this was a schedule loss. Maybe they start next week on the right foot, Oklahoma City, and beat that. They're such a better team. They got 3 games in a row at home, and this team is so much better at home than on the road. It's outrageous. So maybe that's where Finney-Smith gets right. Maybe Bullock has a good game. Role players play better at home than on the road. So I don't know. Or maybe they lose all 3. I mean, I don't know.
See.
I don't know anymore, man.
I don't know either. Well, at least there's no back-to-backs. These 2 back-to-backs they put me on my ass. I am tired. All right. Well, that in mind, Josh and I will be back on Monday night then. Everybody have a good start to your week. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we will talk with you soon.